Hey, fellas. Welcome to Southwest Titans Fantasy Football League Week 8 recap, Week 9 preview. After struggling there for a few weeks, decreasing points, losses, Ozark comes storming back for his third Stud of the Week honors, knocking off Tebow United 164 to 122. Ozark had 6 players in double figures, 3 of them with 23 plus points each, led by CD Lamb with 28. Tebow, he's struggled this season. He had his highest scoring game of the season and was led by Nix with 36. Hey, that rhymes. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't close really. Ozark improves to 5-3. He gets off the skid there and is in fourth place. Tebow United lost his fifth in a row, dropping to 1-7 and is in last place. The second highest scoring team was Paducah Fins, who defeated yours truly 159 to 113, which was also the largest margin of victory. Thanks, Mike. I mean, that just wasn't fun for me. I was texting Mike. I love noon kickoff on Sunday, and I've got my stat tracker up. Within 15 minutes, 2 of his guys each had touchdowns. And I was like, okay, it's only 15 minutes in. There's still a lot of football to be played. Over the next 45 minutes, he gets 3 more touchdowns. So 1 hour into Sunday, I'm down by 5 touchdowns already. I'm like, that's no fun. That's no fun. I'd like for it to at least be close, at least for a while. Let me at least feel like I have somewhat of a chance. But anyway, boo. Paducah Fins won his fifth in a row, improves to 7-1, and then moves into second place. I fell to 2-6 and remain in ninth place. Third highest scoring team this week was Shake It Golf. He defeated previous number one FAFO 156 to 120. Golf had a balanced attack, 8 players in double figures, led by Golf and Kittle, who each had 21, and Ramondre Stevenson chipped in 20. And he got 40 from his 3 individual defensive players combined, which is impressive. FAFO was led by Josh Jacobs with 22, but just still wasn't close. Shake It Golf just had too strong of a week. He pulled to 500 at 4-4 and is in sixth place, while FAFO slipped to 6-2, but still strong position in third place, 1 game behind number one and number two. Speaking of number one, that takes us to Cowpokes, who brought down the Mafia 150 to 128. Cowpokes is also well balanced with 8 players in double figures. Had another player with 9 points. He got 42 combined from his 3 individual defensive players, which is very strong. Mafia had a decent game. He had 6 in double figures, one with 9, but not really any standouts. He got 24 from Josh Allen, which is kind of a subpar game for Josh Allen. But overall, Cowpokes improved to 7-1 like his brother and took over first place, while Mafia dropped to 500 at 4-4, but is still in the top 6 in fifth place. Mighty Coon Dogs won his second in a row, defeating D's Nuts, who had recently been on a hot streak the last couple of weeks. Mighty Coon Dogs beat D's Nuts 132 to 110. Coon Dogs had 6 in double figures, 2 more with 9 plus each, and was led by Tyrone Tracy Jr. Who in the hell is Tyrone Tracy Jr.? Oh, the Giants running back? I'm sorry. Am I the only one that's never heard of him? He had 21 points. D's Nuts, again, after having 2 really strong weeks, he came back down to earth with four players in double figures, led by Joe Mixon with 18. Mighty Coon Dogs, improves to 4-4 and sits in 8th place, while D's Nuts is at 2-6 in 10th place. Don't feel bad, buddy. I'm right there with you at 2-6. I feel it. At least you had a couple of strong weeks. Finally, it was Hey Fellas beating IH Braves 118-101. Hey Fellas had strong games from his two running backs who combined for 37. His tight end Kraft chipped in another 16. IH Braves had 6 in double figures, another with 9, but basically got 0 from 2 positions, and really none of his double figure players was anything outstanding. So he barely broke the century mark, at 101. Hey Fellas joins the 2-6 club with me and Ryan and is in 11th place. IH Braves slips to 4-4 and sits right outside the playoffs, though, in 7th place. That takes us to week 9. Heading into this week, we had a trade. I offered up Jalen Hurts and Rachaad White to Hey Fellas for Shane and Mooney. I think both of us at 2-6 needed a change. I had 2 top 4 quarterbacks. I cannot play both of them. And honestly, I'm excited to have a player, possibly 2, that has the potential to score over 10 points in any given week. So at least there's some excitement there for me, because at 2-6, and when you're down 5 touchdowns in the first hour of a Sunday, it's not a fun season. Plus, hey, look at the Ray brothers sitting in 1st and 2nd place. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that that's happened before, especially this late in the season. I mean, maybe so. We've been doing this for a long time. I mean, look at the white hair in my beard. We've been doing this forever. And speaking of especially David Ray and beards, that reminds me of a story. I got hired at the bank where he was working, and that's where he and I first met. And of course, now I let my beard go, but it used to be all brown, all dark brown. And then, it was neatly trimmed. I trimmed my neck, and, it was very professional looking beard. And the second day on my job, my boss comes in with a printout of a page from the employee handbook that highlighted in yellow was the facial hair policy. And it said no beards or goatees, but you could have a mustache. A mustache was okay. And it was funny because David worked with a guy that had like a big Civil War mustache. And I'm like, really? That's better than my neatly trimmed beard? But anyway, that was 2005, not 1975. No beards or goatees. Anyway, I almost left the mustache when I was shaving it off, just to make a point of how ridiculous it looked, because it looked ridiculous. But anyway, that's my funny story. That's the bank where I had to cut off my beard and met David Ray. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I had to lose my beard and met David Ray. Woo. But anyway, week 9, all the top 6 teams, they play the bottom 6 teams. Starting with number 1 Cowpokes versus number 8 Mighty Coondogs. Head to head, Cowpokes would be 5-3. Median points, Cowpokes with a nice advantage, 141-121. Projection though, Coondogs by 10. He got off to a great start on Thursday. He got 15 from Devontae Adams and 24 from his Jets defense. In all honesty, though, regardless of that start, I think Cowpokes has a very solid team. He's A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp. They're both healthy now, and DeAndre Swift has been impressive. I think he's got a very strong team overall. I'm going with Cowpokes for the win, and GW agrees. Number 2, The bro, Paduke Fins versus number 7, IH Braves. Head to head, Paduke Fins would be 6-2. However, 3 of those games would have been decided by 4 points or less. I think 2 of them by 2 points or less. Median points, Paduke Fins with an advantage 134 to 125. Projections, IH Braves by 16. Paduke had a defensive player go on Thursday that got 0. And he's also dealing with a couple of injuries and a couple of players on bye week. I think that might impact him. I think IH Braves is in a good position this week to pull off the upset. So I'm going with IH Braves for the upset, and GW agrees. Number 3, FAFO versus number 11, Hey Fellas. Head to head, FAFO would be 7-1 on the season. Median points, huge advantage for FAFO, 136 to 113. Projection, FAFO by 30. But Hey Fellas needs to set his lineup after the trade went through on Friday. He's got a couple of empty spots. But he also started CJ Stroud rather than waiting for Jalen Hurts to be available after the trade. So I was a little thrown off by that. Stroud only got 13, but at least he had Tank Dell that got 15. Tank Dell. Well, shoot, I should have traded Tank Bigsby instead of Rachaad White. Then he could have had both the tanks. Not sure how much that would have helped, but at least you could say you had dual tanks. Sorry, I'm going with FAFO for the win, and GW agrees. Number 4, Ozark Mountain Daredevils versus number 10, D's Nuts. Head to head, Ozark would be 5-3, but would have been 1-3 the last 4 weeks. Ozark median points has the advantage, 133 to 121. Projection, D's Nuts by 3. Ozark got less than 1 point from his running back. D's Nuts got 21 from his 2 running backs. Their combined projection was 26, I believe. And this one's tough to pick because both of these teams have shown some hot streaks. They've shown some great scores at times this season, but Ozark's had more of them, and he's been stud of the week 3 times this season. So I'm gonna go with that for my pick. I'm going with Ozark to get back on track and continue winning. And GW agrees yet again. Number 5, Marinos Mafia versus number 9, Rides Rabbits. Head to head this season, Mafia would be 6-2. Median points, big advantage for Mafia, 133 to 114. Projection, Mafia by 8. Even with my recent trade, I may have traded the wrong quarterback. I mean, they've both been great, but it's like the Eagles, man, they get on the goal line, they're going with Jalen Hurts for the tush push. And then if he doesn't get it, they'll do it a second time. And, but that's where a lot of his points come from is those tush push goal line. I bet Saquon Barkley just loves that for the Eagles. But anyway, it is what it is. My pick is Marinos Mafia. And GW agrees for the 5th time in as many picks. Finally, number 6, Shake It Golf versus number 12, Tebow United. Head to head, Shake It Golf would be 6-2 on the season. Median points, Golf blown it away, 137 to 94. Projection, Golf by 37. Shake It Golf off to a great start. He got 34 from 2 players who had combined projected points of only 16. I'm going with Shake It Golf for my pick. And will GW agree on all 6 picks this week? No. He goes with the major upset and picks Tebow United for the win. And then finally, Ride versus GW. Last week I was 2-4 in my picks. GW was 4-2. That puts me in the season 20-22. GW one game ahead at 21-21 for whoever gives a crap. Hope y'all are having a great weekend. Hope you had a great Halloween. See you, fellas.